Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and today we've got the real-world highway fuel economy test of the 2020 Chevrolet Corvette Convertible. Now this one's going to be a little bit special compared to our usual tests because this Corvette features active fuel management, GM's nomenclature for cylinder deactivation. So in this test, we're going to go out and do 30 miles out, 30 miles back with completely normal tour mode, AFM enabled. And then we're going to come back, fill up, and go out again, do another 30 miles out, 30 miles back in manual mode, locking the car in V8, which should eliminate AFM from enabling and keep it on all 8 cylinders for the whole test. So before we get started, let's hop out, take a quick look at the car. Now for those familiar with the channel, you'll notice this one looks very similar to the Corvette that we had last time around. The only difference being this is the hardtop convertible model. Still a 2LT, still non-Z51, but you do have the ability to do the power retractable roof, and it is the model that I would opt for. If you want to see more on the Corvette, check the links in the description for all sorts of content. Bose sound system test, review, fuel economy test on the other car, all good stuff. So we do this test because the EPA highway fuel economy test only averages 48 miles per hour. We know there are people who'd like to take their vehicles on long, steady state road trips, so we like to do this test to see what you can expect to get in the real world. Typically we do 100 miles total to get a fuel economy average, averaging 70 miles per hour, but because we're going to be testing both aspects of this car, both in cylinder deactivation mode and non, for this test we are only going to do 60 miles both times. We're going to fill up at the same pump using the same 3-click fueling method. Other things to note, ambient temperature today is 31 degrees Fahrenheit. Tire pressures are set to 30 psi cold as per the door placard. And we are going to have our climate control set to 73 degrees auto. Just getting the fan going here. Let's fill her up. The 3-click method means we'll be inserting the nozzle here, letting it run on high flow until it clicks, giving it 10 seconds for the bubbles to settle down, running it on low flow until it clicks again, waiting another 10 seconds, and then one more final low flow. Now we wouldn't recommend doing this regularly, but for these tests, in order to ensure that we're getting the same amount of fuel in the car all times, it's the best way to do it. Okay, there we are, 1.989 gallons going in initially. Before we actually start the engine, we just reset our GPS. We're also going to reset the trip timer and fuel used, this tripometer, and we are good to go. We're going to drive nice and easy over to the highway, about half a mile, pick up the test from there. The goal of this test is not to hypermile, but rather to get realistic, accurate, efficient fuel economy numbers. So we're going to get up to highway speeds safely and effectively, set our GPS indicated speed at 73 miles per hour. That should give us an average of 70 miles per hour over this test. Corvette speedometer seems to be quite GPS accurate. No adaptive cruise control in this 2LT model, so we got it set at 73. Giving us 73 on the GPS. And we should be good to go. The car is already in V4 mode. Ticking away here. Tires are a little cold still at 30 psi. So if there's any discrepancy between this and the second run, it'll be that the tires will already be warmed up at highway speed for that run. And we're good to go. We'll catch up at the end of this round. In the meantime, enjoy this time lapse of the entire trip. here on the fuel economy test. And no big surprises, been a nice smooth run. We've spent much majority of it in V4 mode, and not once on the highway has the car downshifted from 8th to 7th, which is good for us to know, because in this next round, when we do the test in manual mode, we can know that we can leave the car in 8th the entire time and be totally fine. Trip computer's given us 29.5 miles per gallon at the moment. We are just under 70 miles per hour average. I was expecting the GPS average to bump up to 70 any second now, but seeing that we're less than a mile away from the exit, that might not happen. But it is what it is. It's only a 60-mile test. We didn't want to stray too dramatically from our protocols on the normal test. We're going to take it nice and easy back to the gas station, fill up at the same pump using the same fueling method, and then head right back out, do the exact same route with manual mode engaged in order to keep the car from going into 4-cylinder mode. Okay, let's fill her up. Alright, pretty close, 2.198. Total miles traveled 61.2 divided by 2.198 gives us 27.8 miles per gallon, rounding up to 28. It's about 1 mile per gallon lower than the car's readout. Actually, technically 2 depending on rounding, but about 1.5. Quite a bit lower than the Targa Top car that we tested over the summer, but conditions were different and it's a lighter car. So that's going to be our number right now, 28 and 29 on the car for regular tour mode. Now let's reset our GPS, reset trip 1 again, and we are good to go. Manual mode engaged. Back to the highway. Now I'm going to shift before 2,000 RPM every time. I'm going to shift pretty much as soon as it lets me. And I'll just let the car downshift on its own. Back up to speed, cruise control set, 73 miles per hour. We are off again, 8th gear, chugging along on all 8 cylinders. We plan on staying that way for this whole test. Once again, enjoy this time lapse if you want to keep an eye on the speed and the drafting situation. If not, skip to the end and we'll see you back at the gas station. Coming into the final mile of the second round of the test, the V8 round, and I am surprised. The difference, at least according to the car's trip computer, is negligible. About this time we were at 29.4, 29.5 or so on the car's trip computer, and we just went over to 29.2 on this round. Trips have been very similar. We're at 69 miles per hour average, I think very, very close to 70 as well for this one. I think there might have been slightly less traffic on this trip, but other than that, temperature's been identical, traffic's been pretty close, and all the numbers on the dash have been pretty similar as well. I do think that manually shifting right away has given us a tad bit better fuel economy on acceleration, but the rest of the highway trip should be balancing that out. We're going to take it nice and easy again, back to the gas station, head back to pump number 8, fill up using the same method, and see what we get. So 29.1, shutting it off, so half a mile per gallon lower according to the trip computer on that test. Let's fill it up. There we are, filled up at 2.235. So 61.2 divided by 2.235 has given us 27.4 miles per gallon. So that does round down to 27. So rounding up to 28. But you're looking at a 1 mile per gallon difference with AFM off, active fuel management, cylinder deactivation here in the Chevy Corvette convertible. Now it's up to you if that 1 mile per gallon is worth possibly damaging your lifters after a long time, possibly doing increased engine wear, or maybe they got it right here in the C8 Corvette and you can run AFM for hundreds of thousands of miles and not have any issues. I don't know. For me, if I were doing a long road trip, I would probably hit that manual mode button, leave it in 8s, and let it cruise along. It might get slightly worse fuel economy, but for me, that little bit worse is worth it to increase the longevity of my engine. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked the video, check out our other C8 Corvette content, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.